So people often ask us, who came out first? Was it difficult? The truth is, those questions barely scratch the surface.
Our stories could not be more different, yet somehow they brought us to the same place. Coming out isn't one conversation, it's just a journey that unfolds over years. Welcome to Lez-B-Diverse, brought to you by our kitchen. If you missed the first episode, we have a 9-month-old that is a little bit attached to us right now, and he is currently sleeping in his little playpen. So hopefully we can get through this while he's still sleeping again.
I hope so.
But there you
go. This episode is called Two Closets, Two Journeys, One Love. Hi, I'm Giancis.
And I am Mahal. Thank you so much for watching. All right, let's get started. Question time.
So growing up, what messages did you hear about being gay?
Okay, that's a tough one because in the Filipino culture, we don't really talk about like the LGBT community or anything like that. Like the only time that I would hear anything about being gay or bakla in Tagalog is like, you know, the hairdressers that are super flamboyant, like all the hairdressers that were men in the Philippines were super flamboyant, gay, but they did phenomenal hair.
Right.
So that's really the only reference I had for like the gay culture. There was definitely not anything that we talked about in our household.
Okay. The only time I actually heard about it was West Hollywood and all the crazy people that get together and we're half naked.
Nice.
Okay, so growing up Catholic, then transitioning to your Christian faith as an adult, did you ever feel like your faith and your identity were in conflict?
Sort of. So obviously, growing up Catholic, you always hear that like homosexuality is a sin. It's in the Bible, hypothetically, supposedly, which it's not, for the record. And so it was just, that was the talk, right? So growing up, when I knew for sure I was a lesbian, I knew that Catholicism wasn't for me, but my faith was always strong. I never not believed in God because of all the things that I went through.
Right.
As an adult, I found a Christian church actually that was more accepting in Las Vegas. So when I entered that church and felt welcomed, I got rebaptized as an adult out of my choice. I was baptized as an adult or as a baby in the Catholic religion, but that was like the norm in the Filipino culture. So for me, my faith never changed in any way, shape, or form. I knew I was a lesbian and I had to figure out how my faith fit into the mix.
Okay. So did you spend time praying those feelings away or questioning why you felt the way you did?
No, not at all. I never questioned. I always had the belief that God made me the way that I was, and He doesn't make any mistakes. That was the taught or the lesson that was given, right? So I knew that I was, as they say, made in His likeness. So I didn't question it or want to pray it away. I knew I was going to have a difficult life growing up, but it wasn't something that I wanted to change.
So was there a moment when you realized you didn't have to choose faith over being true to yourself?
There wasn't like an aha moment, but I will say it's been an ongoing battle my entire adulthood, not for myself, but for the public or with friends or with people who just doesn't understand. You know, I have a lot of gay friends who are not spiritual or religious in any way, shape, or form because they don't believe that you could have both worlds because of what they were taught as young people, right? So, and there are hardcore Catholic people or Christian people who also believe that being gay is a sin and that you can't be both.
Right.
So it's me constantly trying to be vocal, especially on my social media, on I can be faithful and I can believe in God and I can believe that everything has happened in my life and the blessings that have happened in my life are because of Him, and still love you
Right.
for you. All right. What about you? What made it difficult for you to come out?
I think it was more about what everybody else was gonna think, and the situation that they were gonna put my family in, and what everybody was gonna say, right? That was the reason why I never even considered or thought about, or even the thought of this. It's okay to never crossed my mind.
How long did you feel like you were living two different lives?
For about 20 plus years.
Okay. So you lived two different lives for 20 plus years, but how old were you when you actually came out of the closet?
40.
Okay.
So I came out when I met you. Yeah.
What kept you in the closet for so many years?
Again, it was just, it's not accepted in like this society of, being Armenian. It's frowned upon. It was not anything that, it was easily discussed. Nobody even talked about it. It was one of those that if obviously you're not straight, then if you're gay, then there's a problem, right? Something your parents didn't bring you up correctly, or there's something that wasn't talked about in the household, or you're not a Christian, or you don't believe in God, and there's so many different things where my number one was I don't want to put my family in a situation to where they're talked about.
Oh, within the community?
Within the community. Oh, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So looking back, what emotions stand out the most?
A lot of hurt because I just couldn't come out and let everybody know that I was in a good place. Even when I was in a relationship, I couldn't tell them that I was in a relationship. And everybody always felt like, well, aren't you going to meet someone? Well, don't you ever want to get married again? Or don't you want to ever, go through like life with someone and have a family? And I can just simply say, guys, like, I'm already in a relationship. Like, I am who I am and I'm happy. Like, just let it be. I just couldn't. And the fact that I had to hide it was really difficult for all the years. It was like year after year after year. I just couldn't be me.
Yeah, because you mentioned, if you missed the first episode, but she mentioned that she was in a 16-year relationship with a woman. So
Yeah.
to be in the closet, so to speak, and be in a relationship for that long had to be pretty hard for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, what made it easy with her was she was in hiding as well. So nobody knew about her. Nobody knew about me. But then when I met you, and it was very obvious that you were, and I knew that you definitely were not someone.
Was it the short hair or like the bow ties? Like
Yeah,
what?
probably. I think that's what gave it away. But you weren't someone that I could hide, right? So that's when I knew that if I had chosen to be with you, then it was the time for me to come out and be honest with not only myself, but with my family and with everybody else.
That makes sense.
Who was the first person you told?
Ooh, okay. So because I want to say I came out very early in life. The first person that I told that I even had interest in girls was a friend of mine in seventh grade. So I was in seventh grade and he was in sixth grade.
Okay.
Just gonna leave it at that.
Were you terrified?
Not at all. So when I had that conversation with him, that was during the time where you could only speak on the phone like after 9 o'clock because that was the free minutes. So we would have our like deep conversations about life and like we were 7th and 6th graders, but we felt like we were adults or like old souls. And so we would talk about life and challenges and struggles and what we expect in the future, right? So a long story short, there was actually a commercial of, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Girls Gone Wild commercials, infomercials. And I just casually mentioned, I'm like, oh, those girls are cute. I think I'm attracted to them. And that's essentially how I came out to him.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's pretty interesting. Okay.
I'll have another episode on that one specifically.
Did anyone actually surprise you with their support?
When I officially came out, like truly out of the closet, I had waited till I was further along. Like I want to say like 18, 19.
Okay.
So I dated like a lot of boyfriends within like middle school, high school, and tried to like fit into the norms. So support-wise, it was tough coming out officially then, but really, I think my extended family accepted me just because they loved me, and they never really questioned anything or try to convert me or anything. They was just, they would just kind of go with the flow.
Okay.
And it was one of those like, okay, well, you're not my daughter, so I'm not going to say anything type situation. So they kind of just left it at that. And that was kind of surprising.
Okay. Well, looking back, what emotions stand out the most for you?
Just relief, I think. Coming out was a relief, knowing that I could be like my authentic self, and I didn't give a crap at that time nor at this time who cared or who didn't. If you knew me and if you appreciated me just for who I am, like, we would be the best of friends, because I'm never going to judge anyone, so I would hope that you don't judge me.
Right.
For you, what finally gave you the courage to come out later in life?
You did.
Oh, thanks.
I was just ready to start my life finally.
Okay. Makes sense. Well, was it a relief?
Of course. Big time.
Was it a relief in the
Well, I was
beginning?
terrified. I was completely terrified. I didn't even know how to say, what to say, who to say it to. But I told my mom, and she was completely surprised. Like, out of this world, blown away, surprised. And that didn't go too well in the beginning, but surprisingly enough, turned out pretty good.
I remember, actually, I think you had come out to your sisters first, I want to say.
I did. So I came out to my sisters first. Well, I had some friends who obviously knew about my previous relationship. But I came out to them about you. Mm-hmm. And then I told my sisters, and they were super supportive at first. And then it kind of went into like, oh my God, this is like the greatest news in the world. And then it went into shock mode. And then the feelings and all of their like stuff came out on, where the hell have you been all these years, and how come you didn't tell us sooner? Mm-hmm. Okay. So then it went into like, oh my God, we're so happy for you. And then we got into a huge argument about it. And I remember right when all of this was happening, I was supposed to be going to Cabo for my 40th birthday. So I told my mom the day before I left for Cabo. So she had a whole week to think about it.
So you like threw the bomb and you ran.
Literally. Yeah.
Well, that's fun. That's a fun way to come out. You came out sprinting.
When I thought about it later, I was like, why did I do that? Because I didn't even give her the opportunity to have a conversation like the next day. But it was only because I just had to tell her. I had to tell her and then allow for her to kind of just think about it. Go through her own emotions and her feelings. And then if she had any questions, that we would talk about it once I got back.
I think one of your sisters kind of like pushed you a little bit to tell your mom, because
she did.
She had mentioned something to the degree of like, oh, I've had conversations with her because you haven't had relationships. We just assumed you might be.
Yes. So my sister, we had a conversation about it, and she said, how come you haven't told mom yet? And I'm talking about this is like within weeks. It's not even months at this point, right? Yeah. How come you haven't told mom yet? And I said, well, I don't know exactly what to say and how to say it, so it's not the right time for me. And she said, mom already knows. She's just waiting for you to tell her. I'm like, mom knows what? She's like, she's had an idea of you because you haven't brought home any guys in such a long time. Mom already has had an idea about you for a very long time. So I go in and I'm like, hey, mom, like, I want to talk to you about something. Can we go into your room? And I was like, I just want to let you know that, Lady, obviously, and I love Lady, and I don't love her like my friend, but I love her, and like, we're together. And I mean, she turned completely white like a ghost, and she had no clue. Mom, you didn't know? Or she's like, what do you mean I didn't know? So she had poor Lady had no clue. And my sister lied about it, so I went in like, oh my God, hey mom, like, all this time you've been right. I'm finally about to tell you something. And in fact, I completely shocked her.
And then left.
Yes.
Where you didn't self-service or
yeah.
talk to her?
I did check up on her every day. I did. I truly did. she didn't want to answer the phone, and she answered what instead of hi,
Ouch.
But I still called her every single day to check in, to make sure that she was okay.
Well, with that being said, what have you learned from coming out later in life?
I shouldn't have waited so long.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting. Why so?
I think it would have been a lot easier, because then it was more of a, oh my God, what was everyone going to think? What is everyone going to say? Now we want you to, keep it hidden from the rest of the family. Like, we don't want anyone to know. And if this is the way you want to live your life, but live it in, like, the silence, right? Keep this conversation between you and whoever you're with and this household, and don't bring it out to anybody else. So in this segment, we're going to discuss coming out early versus coming out late.
So I had years to grow into who I was. So I'm the one who came out really early in life.
So how did coming out early allow you to build confidence?
That's a great question, because being a lesbian, you kind of have to have some strength or backbone in you, especially coming out during that era where, same-sex marriage wasn't legal yet. The concept of like Ellen DeGeneres was barely out there with her shows. So like the concept of being gay or lesbian was out there, but it wasn't talked about the way it has been. I'd even say within the last 10 years, right? And that was 20 plus years ago. I'm totally dating myself at this point, but you get it. So I really had to build the confidence and know that I identified as a lesbian, and I wasn't going to let anyone break me down or judge me to the point where it was going to like affect me.
Did it help you create like a community?
So I really focused on trying to find like-minded individuals. So during that time frame, like I really surrounded myself with friends that were either gay or supported, like had an alliance essentially. So that really helped for me create the community that I needed. Over the years, especially with social media, I really used the social media platform to kind of give awareness. Like I follow a lot of like news and podcasts and stuff like that in the LGBTQIA community. And so I'm constantly sharing, right? Like I'm constantly sharing when like things happen in Japan or in Italy or like even Iran as early as, current events right now, and how like society is changed in that regard. And so I really like to be as vocal as possible and just kind of just educate people, whether they want to hear it or not or see it or not. I feel like it's my one voice to kind of just spread awareness.
Looking back, have you learned anything from your difficult experiences?
Yeah, I learned that sometimes you can't change someone's mind. Sometimes, no matter how much you educate someone or feel your friendship is strong, at some point you are going to drift away from those disagreements, unfortunately. And some people are going to have very, very strong opinions for whatever and however they were brought. No matter, I could be the biggest sweetheart in the world, but because I'm a lesbian and because it goes against some kind of belief in them, they won't accept me. And I have to take that to heart and just walk away on my own. Because at the end of the day, like if you can't accept me for who I am as a whole, then you don't get any part of me.
Very true. So becoming comfortable with your identity then played a big role.
Yeah, for sure. If you knew me even like 20 years ago, I had long hair with a ponytail. I tried to dress like my mom, so very like suits, like pinks and purples and those lime greens who didn't look cute in any way, shape. Like I was not dressing my age at all because I was trying to be like my mom. And then as I got a little older and I really started to understand myself, I kind of had like an identity crisis in my mid-30s, and I like literally from like the bottom of my back to like how short my hair is now, like I cut it all off. I ended up donating the hair to like, the locks of love thing. But I was like, okay, I need a change. I really want to identify with like who I am, true to myself. And then I started changing my wardrobe. That's when I started like wearing my like bow ties and neckties, especially at work. When I had gotten promoted at my old job, because I could kind of travel and do my own thing, like I really wanted to showcase like my confidence through my wardrobe. And so I loved like matching and like being all GQ-esque. I call myself a STEM. I don't know if you know what that means. Right. If you guys don't know what that means, it kind of is a combination of being a stud and a femme, so STEM. So being a stud means kind of wearing like men's clothing, being a little bit more masculine. And being a femme is more like the hairdos and the lipstick and the purses. So for me, I am the best of both worlds, I want to say. And so I wear like the men's clothing, but I have makeup on and jewelry on, and I do my hair and I have my purse, so I have that's kind of where my identity lies.
Nice. Okay.
So for you, coming out later in life,
I was just beginning that journey.
Yeah, literally. I mean, if you count it, you've only been out of the closet technically for 4 years, officially. To everyone, like literally everyone. Do you feel like you're kind of just making up for lost time?
No, not really. Well, because I can't really say anything about it because no one has ever known anything besides my friends, obviously. So there was really no time to have been lost. I kind of just did my thing.
Okay, but didn't you have some friends that didn't know? Like, from my recollection, you had like 2 sets of friends.
I did. I've always had a multiple set of friends, but one set knew, and like everybody else did not.
And you were just kind of fine living the 2 lives.
Yeah, because it was more of a who I knew, kind of like, building your community, who I knew would accept and who I knew would not. Mm-hmm. So play 2 different lives with everybody.
Okay. So how are you learning how to live authentically later in life?
It's so much easier because I always say, well, don't sit in front of me and lie to me about who you are, right? Mm-hmm. Like that, but that's what I did for years upon years to everybody. Like no one really knew who I was and, who I was even in a relationship with. So now being true to myself, it's such an incredible feeling.
Can you kind of talk about the experiences that we had when you came out, even like PDA, especially being in your neighborhood, right, essentially?
Oh, it was tough because we lived, when we met, obviously we lived in 2 different states. And then when you moved in and we moved in together, we lived in Encino. And in Encino, it's all like Persians. And first and foremost, the minute we would walk out and they would see me with someone who's Filipino, they would just stare down.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely no way in the world you can ever come out and, simply kiss or do anything. So anytime we would be affectionate in public, I would try to look around to see if there was anybody there.
Yeah, which was super frustrating for me because I was so used to being out and open and didn't care what anyone else thought. But you were just barely coming out and not understanding, like...
Even when I had those moments where I just simply didn't care and I want to, hold my wife's hand or I want to give my wife a kiss, but I still found myself, even if it wasn't before doing it, it was after I did it, I would look around to see if anybody saw us.
I remember there was a time that we went on a date. I don't remember what city we were in, but we were going to eat sushi and we didn't have a reservation.
Oh my goodness, we were in Toluca Lake.
Okay, yes. Yeah. And the 2 of us walk into the sushi spot, and it was like dead silence. Every single table stopped what they were doing and looked at me. And I was like deer in the headlights, and I'm like, is it because I'm a lesbian or is it because I'm Asian? Because we're going to a sushi spot.
Right. I was so confused. And we were in Toluca Lake, and we actually had reservations for a really nice sushi restaurant. And we walked in, and unfortunately, they were all Armenians.
Yeah.
All Armenians.
So random.
I walk in first. She walks in right behind me, and they literally stopped eating.
Yep.
Stopped eating, and each and every one, to the point where I had to make a comment like, am I missing something here? Like, it was so uncomfortable. I just didn't even want to say that.
Yeah, we ended up leaving.
We ended up leaving, and I swore to myself we would never go back there again.
And we never did. And then there was another instance where we needed to get meat at the meat market to bring home to your parents so we could, like, barbecue at your parents' house.
Yeah.
And we weren't doing anything, mind you. So we
simply walked into the meat store.
Where was that at?
Glendale.
Okay, so Glendale, if you guys don't know, is like the heart of like Armenian people. And we got out of the car. We walked into the meat market. We were not affectionate. I followed her. I actually had sunglasses on the entire time. And that was the end of it. So we thought. And then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks later or something like that, your sister says, so-and-so saw you with a girl going into the meat market.
And I'm like, is that against the law?
Like,
I mean, but at this point, again, remember, no one knew anything, right? So I walked into the meat market with a girl, and I've done that multiple times. I would always go shopping with my friends, right? What makes it any different?
Yeah.
Well, because I walked into the meat market with a girl with short hair.
Yeah, that for surely looks like a lesbian.
For sure, yeah, exactly. And that all of a sudden became a huge ordeal.
Which is funny because it wasn't an issue with the person who mentioned it. It was an issue with your sister. Because she ended up making it a bigger deal than it really was.
I'm like, did she say we were doing anything? She said no.
Yeah, she just mentioned that.
I'm like, so she just simply said we...
She happened to see her and didn't get a chance to say hi or something to that degree or something like that.
Yeah.
Did you process any emotions that had been buried for years?
For sure. Because for once in my life, finally, I didn't have to lie to my family.
Okay. That's huge.
Most importantly, like my parents.
Because you're super close to your parents.
Yes.
How was coming out later shaped your confidence and relationships? If it did.
It made me appreciate you and us a lot more, I feel like. Because not only was it difficult for everybody to come around, but when they did, they realized, and I knew, and I think the reason why I came out when I did, and with you in particular, was because I knew that they would fall completely head over heels in love with you as well. So they saw in you what I had seen in you.
Okay.
Which made it so much more easier.
All right, couples discussion time. It says, how did your different experiences affect your relationship? So the first question in our guide here says, did Mahal sometimes expect Kiyankas to be further along emotionally because she'd been out longer? Oof. Yeah, I think so. Not necessarily emotionally, necessarily. I think I wanted you to be more in the closet, especially when we were living in LA.
Yes.
Like the fear of being caught, so even though you were already out to your family and friends at this point, like I didn't understand like why it mattered so much what like strangers thought.
Right.
What do you think?
I think so. You didn't give me a tough time at all. You were super patient and kind of let me go at my own pace, if that makes sense. But yeah, you just didn't simply understand why. I still had to look around, and I just couldn't completely be me with you.
Yeah.
In public, of course.
Okay, so it says, did Kiyankas ever feel pressure to move faster than she was ready? Did you feel pressured at all?
Not at all.
I mean, it was your idea to come out of the closet with your family.
So you had said to me, it's okay if you don't come out, I'll wait. And it's okay if you want to have a relationship and not ever bring me up at all. And I said, and so you were super patient and made it so much easier for me to do things at my own time and at my own pace.
I can appreciate that. What misunderstandings came from having completely different journeys?
I think you just didn't understand why I would have lived the way I lived for all those years without even seeing anything when you got kicked out of the house because you came out at 18.
Yeah. There were definitely some misunderstandings as far as just because I was in the community, like deeper into the community and like deeper into like understanding the community more. You and I would have a lot of discussions of like things that were in the news or, you know, experiences like people being killed or like even like the transgender, for example, like community, right? We've had discussions on just kind of like learning more about that community. And there were moments where I think we would disagree on certain things just because you weren't around it enough. And I was definitely around it a lot. Even when it came down to like pride festivals, like you didn't understand like what the big deal was, or
and I
like
had never been to one prior to you.
yeah, and that in itself, right? And I literally went every single year if I could, in whatever city I was in, because it meant so much to me. So like that in itself was a completely different experience. How did you learn patience with one another? I think just communicating.
Yeah.
Like overly communicating about everything and our experiences.
Right.
Okay.
The one thing we still share is that we still talk and talk and talk until, you know, everything is out there cleared up and we both have a good understanding of where we stand.
Yeah, because we still have a lot of communication to do, especially now that we have a son together.
Right.
And, you know, the ideals of society still doesn't understand two moms.
Right.
Or having to explain to him that we are a two-mom household. So kind of going through those hurdles, I think, is going to be interesting as he gets older.
Of course, explaining to him, explaining to not only the two-mom situation, but how to handle other people criticizing him. Possibly,
yeah, and giving him like the proper tools to overcome that.
Right.
I mean, we kind of had to do that with your family, especially one of your sisters, who has a little bit of a different mindset of just trying to like educate and communicate to the best of our ability. And I mean, that's just kind of how we operate our relationship, is to over communicate until we either agree to disagree to the fullest extent or we come to a true understanding of each other.
Right. So this segment is about family culture and expectations.
Okay.
So to start off, how did your culture background influence your decision to come out or to wait?
Okay, so being Filipino American, we are definitely more Filipino as far as the way that we lived our culture. And because the entire family is Catholic, essentially, it was pretty tough to come out, more so because of the religion, I think. The religion had more of a depth than the actual being Filipino part. Although it was very unheard of to talk about being a lesbian Filipino. Like, it was easier to find a gay man Filipino than to talk about a female lesbian. One is more accepted than the other for some odd reason. But yeah, it definitely had an influence because of the shame factor of it all. Especially my mom, being kind of head of household, her image was everything, and she built such an amazing life that had a lot of depth to it, that she didn't want to ruin her reputation. And her one and only daughter, her youngest of the two, coming out of the closet was not supposed to be a thing. Like, I had a debutante with 4 different dresses being worn. You know what I mean? Like, I was supposed to be her princess, and I didn't turn out that way. So coming out that way was tough. What about you? What about your cultural background influence?
It's the same thing. It's frowned upon. Up until today, I mean, a majority of my cousins and family, extended family, still doesn't know, right? it's to not be mentioned, right? If they don't know, they don't know. If they don't see, then they don't see, right? Don't give them more information than was required. Kind of just keep it. It's more of if you're happy and you live your life and just do what you got to do, but don't bring it out to everybody else.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we do live two very different cultures as far as like, if I'm out and proud in the Philippines, I'm not going to get shot, killed on the streets or get imprisoned.
Right.
You know
But
what I
I
mean?
would.
But you would.
100%. Right. Right.
And that's a huge difference in itself, because I think that's why Persian Armenians don't usually come out of the closet, more so because of the fear behind
Right.
being caught or whatever the case may be, because I mean, you have family out there
Right.
still too, right?
Of course. Of course.
Were there conversations you wish your families had been able to have with more openness?
Of course. Whereas it's okay. It's not, I mean, look, we're now in the US, right? We've, where you're from or what your beliefs have been and all that stuff. Like, I wish my family just educated themselves more on what this actually is. That you're not any different than just a regular human.
Yeah.
It's who, for me in particular, I just fell in love with you. I didn't fall in love with a woman, right? It wasn't, when I was dating men, for example, I wasn't dating them because they were men. It was for the individual, right? So I really wish that they kind of educated themselves on, oh my God, it's not a complete sin and it's not the end of the world and it's okay. And if my parents accepted and if my parents allowed it to have been discussed, then everybody else would have easily accepted it too.
Okay, that makes sense. I think for me, even though my extended family, like we're close, right? Like my extended family, like I grew up with them. We all celebrated Christmases together, stuff. Extended meaning like my grandma's sister and her like offspring, essentially, like my second cousins. They never really talked about my sexuality. It was just kind of like there. Like they never said like your wife or your partner or whatever the case may be. It was just kind of like, oh, hi, blah, blah, blah. For the longest time, actually, with my mom especially, I was in that 7-year relationship. She never really acknowledged that relationship as like a partnership. She would always just refer her to her name or the kids or whatever the case may be. Even prior to that, like she always said, like to her friends, I lived with my best friend, or I was living with my roommates, and she never outed me. She never wanted to explain that part of me until you came along.
Right.
For some reason, whatever initial relationship that you had with her or first impression you had with her, she was just so comfortable with you and so proud of you as an individual that she wanted to show you off as my partner. And that was like the craziest blessing in my eyes, because for the first time in my adult life, I've been out for almost 20 years,
Right.
but yet she just now finally acknowledged me and acknowledged a true relationship.
Right.
And that's huge, especially for my mom.
Again, if you guys remember that, we were super, super, super close.
Yes,
Super close.
super close. What parts of your culture did you cherish and continue to celebrate today? All of it.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah, all of it. From the language to the food to the parties to the clothing, everything.
Everything.
Yeah. All right, this segment says, if we could talk to our younger selves, complete the sentence. If I could hug the younger version of myself, I would tell her that everything happens for a reason. That no matter challenges, no matter fears, setbacks, relationships, every stepping stone is a reason for where you will be. And everything is going to be A-okay. For you, what's your sentence?
If I could speak to the woman who spent so many years hiding, I'd tell her, keep hiding. and wait for the right time to come out.
Really? Well, I guess because we wouldn't have met otherwise, right?
Yes, for sure.
So that's totally a selfish reason why I would want you to stay in the closet. So
Yeah.
you would come out for me.
Look, again, it would have been so much easier. I should have probably have done it, but I can't tell you enough how perfect the timing was.
Yeah. If you didn't see the first episode, we do a lot of magic tricks. This is our magic trick right here. Our little guy woke up and we were so close to ending, but we had one more question in this segment. What do you admire most about the way your partner handles your journey? Go ahead. What do you admire about how I handled my journey from what you know?
I admire that you had so much fear, but yet did it anyways, to be true to you, and I admire that. And you also did it to where it wasn't about hurting anyone, and it wasn't about, being misunderstood. It was just about you needing to be you. Yeah. And when the timing was right, you had conversations with everybody to allow for them to understand. And the way you did your research and the way you got into the community and your involvement with everything else, I'm pretty sure helped a lot of people get a better understanding of, what everything really meant to you and the coming out and what, the whole experience.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever told you the story, but when I was at my old job, so I was in my old job for 17 years, again, in an era where times were different, right? And I, as far as I know, was like the only like gay person in the company. I'm sure it wasn't because there's thousands of people in that company, but I remember going on a drive on a sales call with one of my bosses, and he asked me straight up, why don't you just like guys? Like, why do you have to like girls? Right. And I was just so thrown aback. Like, first of all, that's like out of line, first of all, to ask me a question like that, right? Of course. But then it was such a male-dominant field, and they weren't used to female managers that I guess he didn't really understand how to like speak. I guess he was trying to like speak to me like one of the guys type of thing. Right. And
like, hey man, how come you don't like the guys?
Yeah, and like it was one of those like, well, I tried to like the guys and it didn't work out for me, so eventually I converted. But that was during an era where I could actually get fired for being gay. Yep. And thankfully, that never happened. And thankfully, I was in a company that was very supportive. Actually, to the point where they allowed me to be a co-chair to the Pride and Allies employee resource group of the entire company in the Western region. So it was a huge honor for me to like represent our company in that way and to show awareness. So that was like super cool. Again, I will talk about that on a different podcast, but very, very different from kind of your journey in the last 4 years, essentially. But for me, for you, I really admire you really just taking that step and owning who you are. Like, you have been such a like successful person your entire life, and you really worked hard to get to where you were at, and you like you had a lot to lose. Like, your family really depends on you. Your parents really depend on you. Your friends really depend on you. And so, like, there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and it's one of those things where you have to be at your A game all the time. And for you to now be like authentically yourself, more power to you.
And I'm still on top of my A game, and I'm still there for everybody else. And
but they thought that was going to change.
Yeah. They thought that me being with you was going to change. Yep. Or me all of a sudden having an entirely different title, right, would change who I am.
Yeah.
Did lose a lot of friends.
You did.
I did. A lot of my friends didn't understand, It wasn't about me coming out. It was about finding someone that I actually wanted to devote my life to, and finding someone that I wanted to spend time with that wasn't them.
Yeah, I mean, that was tough to see because I know that you were friends with a lot of them for like umpteen years. And then I come into the picture and it's like, okay, was it my fault? Like, did they not like me or whatever the case may be? But we talked about it. Yeah. It was because you didn't pay their bills anymore, and you didn't have to pick them up or take them to the nail salon, or you know what I mean, like you were actually catering to yourself, and you were in love, and we were in our little love bubble, and they didn't like it. Fortunately, their loss. Sorry.
It's okay.
But now we have amazing friends as a couple.
Yep, we do.
And we have a lot more support out there, which is amazing. So, you know, so is life.
So I used to think coming out meant losing everything.
And I learned that authenticity doesn't erase fear. It teaches you how to live life with courage anyways.
So our journey looks different. One happened earlier. One happened later. Neither was easy.
Not at all.
But neither was wrong.
Neither was wrong. And the beautiful part is that every step, every fear, every prayer, every secret, every hard conversation led us right here with this little guy. Look at how cute he is. I mean, that's the beautiful journey that we went through.
Yep.
And it's perfect timing.
So if you're still finding your way, know this. There is no deadline for becoming yourself.
That is true.
Your story belongs to you, and it deserves to unfold at your own pace.
Absolutely. Look, if this episode resonates with you or a loved one, please like, share, subscribe. Again, we really appreciate the support out there, and you just taking the time to listen to our story. Till next time.
Yeah.
Peace and love. Appreciate you guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Cankers in the building, my heart right beside me. Queens with the vision, we build it, we believe. Persian, Armenian pride, Filipino fire, and our sunshine sun lifts us even higher. We came to share the road.